They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying face.
Hey, it's hold the truth hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies, we would hold the truth hostage. Now, I want to thank everybody for the support on the channel, and respecting that I'm taking it to another path. This channel will become more of a full-time ghosting channel where focus more on ghosting and the Casper pill. Now, we'll still have conversations, some black pill conversations and so on. That's inevitable, what I mean? And we'll go further, but I think with what every man has gone through today, I think men just want a reason to disconnect. They don't really want anything that has to do with worrying about stuff that's out of their control. But shout out to the homie Kalala. You reminded me of this video. I've been putting it off for a while. I want to thank everybody for the support on it's a video I always tell people to go watch. The Casper pill 2.0 and the Casper pill 1.0. And Kalala reminded me, man, you need to put out that Casper pill 3.0, the 3.0, and get it out there. So to me, I want to start up, I want to start it off with this video won't be, I want to make it as focused as possible, so it won't be too long, but it'll get to the point. Now, before I get to the Casper pill 3.0, I just want to touch up on the Casper pill 1.0 and the Casper pill 2.0, just so I can work my way to the Casper pill 3.0 without losing where I'm at, But basically, the Casper pill is it's very simple, man. It's really, in all honesty, the Casper pill is the solution. It is the only solution for the man who's still within his domesticated society, where you're still in a domestic society. What do I mean by that? Well, basically, if you're still in the country you're in, where you have your problems, the problems of wanting to start a family. Basically, if you're in a country where it's still anti-male and the laws are completely disproportioned to be against you as a man, if you ever plan or ever start that journey towards becoming a father, the Casper pill is the only solution. You know what I'm saying? It's become the only solution because you have to understand that the punishment is absolute. Now, the punishment of going against the legal system when it comes to your marital status, when it comes to the family court, it's absolute. The problems you will face, it's absolute. And I said this on a previous video on a live stream, my last live stream. I told guys, I told guys this, you got to understand that the way the family court is set up, it's set up to where every child is an immaculate conception, as in there was no such thing as a father. The father does not exist, does not count. Every child born in a country where the family court is prepared to destroy the man, take the children and, put you on child support and destroy you financially, physically, imprison you and all that. You have to understand that the way this is set up, the way the family court operates, is that every child's birth is an immaculate conception. That's what you got to understand to keep your mind straight. That means there was no man involved in that child's creation. You know what I'm saying? That's why you will be punished from a legal standpoint of, how dare you try to claim a child that isn't yours. But, let's get back to it. But the Casper Pill 1.0. So what is the Casper Pill 1.0? Well, the Casper Pill 1.0 is a physical reaction. It's a physical reaction to today's society. It's a physical reaction to adapting to it. And what this means is you have to become detached. You have to detach yourself from the society you're in. You know, you have to understand that the biggest issue you have is liabilities. Liabilities are the major issue you have in today's society and being a man. You are liable whether you are right or wrong. There is no such thing. You were born a man and you will be held liable. So what you have to do, what the Casper Pill 1.0 is about, it's really about detaching yourself from these liabilities, detaching yourself from even the housing situation, detaching yourself from that society's physical standards and demands. For example, the demand that you must have a home and you need to have a house, you need to have an apartment, you need to own, you need to have liabilities. A Casper Pillar, a man who understands a Casper Pill 1.0, and I made a video on it, so if you want the longer version, there's the Casper Pill 1.0, but I'm just touching up on it. The Casper Pill 1.0 is about physical detachment. You start understanding that everything within this society for you as a man and being born a man is a trap. So when everything's a trap, you have to look at everything from a perspective of what will I be held liable for? You know what I'm saying? And what happens when you become a Casper Pillar 1.0, when you finally detach from the physical aspects and physical demands. For example, they're still pushing this narrative on you as a man that you need to own a house and an apartment, but in reality, those are all liabilities. Because what if you want to move? And here's the thing about the Casper Pill 1.0. The understanding of physical detachment is that we all know right now you're not loyal to where you live. You're not loyal to where you live at all. You're loyal to opportunities. You're loyal to opportunities. So why would you have the liability of a large lease or a large payment for an apartment when you're not even it's not even about wanting, but for sure that where you are isn't the final destination towards best opportunities possible. If this is not the state or country you will be seeking to retire in or seeking to live in that town till the day you die, then why would you have any liabilities that limit your mobility? That's another thing about the Casper Pill 1.0 is that one of the top values in your life is mobility. So what you do is you look at life and say, well, a lot of times men are supposed to buy a house and an apartment in preparation for starting a family. You know what I'm saying? In preparation for starting a family, you want to own a house, you want to own big apartments and so on. You can eventually move your woman into that home and start a family. But in knowing that that's not an option from a legal standpoint, then what's the point of getting a big home and a big apartment, unless it has to do with business, unless it has to do with business. As in, if your goal is to have residual income from owning an apartment or a house, yeah, go get you one for residual income reasons. If you see you could make some money off of being a house owner and an apartment owner and so on, yeah. But if it's about owning a home because you want to stay in that town, you want to live in that location, it's you attaching yourself to liabilities. It's you attaching yourself to a major lie. It's a lie. It's a huge lie. I mean, think about it. Think about what happened in 2008 with the housing crisis when, the banks were just lending out, money, and it crashed the entire worth of so many homes because they were lending and giving mortgage to people that didn't really qualify or could even pay back the mortgage to own the home. So that crashed the entire market of houses. So you got to understand, then the government bailed out these banks, but did the government bail out the people? You have to understand that your attachment to something, when it comes to, you're going to buy this apartment, you're going to buy this house, and your thoughts are things will stay the same. Things will stay the same. It is absolute delusional mind state. It's being delusional to even think things will stay the same for a month, 6 months, 4 months, a year. As Conan 19 proved, where they just had everybody lockdowns and quarantines. You have to understand, man, when you're in a country where the government in itself is not prioritizing or valuing male stability, the stability you bring in a family and so on, you cannot be so delusional that you seek to remain in one location, that you seek to actually stay in proposition that a future exists there, that things will stay the same. That is the biggest, as the guys say in the black pill, that's the biggest cope. The biggest cope is for you to envision that things will stay the same. It's a very dangerous thing. I mean, that's one of the big delusions. That's one of the big, big illusions and scams they use when they sell you a stationary way of living. Look, you're going to own this, you're going to own that. Things will stay the same, property taxes will rise, but we've seen it. If the government does something stupid, your property taxes could be, the worth of your home and your apartment could be ground zero. The banks do something stupid, the government puts it on lockdown and destroys the neighborhood for over 2 years. We've seen what happens. So the Casper Pill 1.0 is prioritizing yourself and your mobility. The Casper Pill 1.0 is really about you seeking to commit to nomadics, being nomadic and being minimalistic, being minimalistic to a certain extent, where so long as it doesn't threaten your mobility, your goal is to maintain a level of expenses that allow you to be mobile. What I mean by mobile, well, if you get a call or you see an opportunity at another state or even at another country, you can leave. You can pick up your stuff and leave because you have no attachments. You don't have any liabilities. You don't own anything stationary. I'll give you an example. Let's say a job calls you, a career, a major career opportunity calls you, for that career. If you have all your stuff in an apartment or a house, how you gonna be able to move there within and let's say they want you to be there in 2 days. In 2 days they want you to move here. They're gonna give you the sign-in bonus. They're giving you all this stuff to start your career over there. How you gonna do that if you're not mobile? If you're not able to move at a drop of a dime, The Casper Pill 1.0 really focuses on being nomadic and being mobile. Your mobility is a priority, And the other thing is you become detached. You are now solely attached to yourself. That is the only thing you are attached to, is yourself and your self-preservation. It is yourself, and as a Casper Pillar 1.0, what happens to you is you're no longer attached to anything. You do things the way you want to do them. So long as it doesn't threaten your mobility and your freedom, you will do it. A Casper Pillar might not show up. You might get a call as a Casper Pillar for the family reunion. You know what? You might not go because you just don't want to go. It might be that scenario. You might celebrate Christmas during the summer. You might do that. You might rent yourself, let's say you might rent a certain car or something. The Casper Pill 1.0 is all about you. You live your life. It's not about concealing yourself. I've spoken to some people that bring up the gray man, but the gray man lives for the validation of others through denying. For example, the gray man, what separates a gray man from the Casper Pillar is that the gray man seeks to hide his wealth, seeks to hide his earnings, hide his lifestyle, hide what he has, because he doesn't want that society or the people to know what he has. So they don't ask him nothing. But in reality, in doing that, in truth, in doing that, that gray man is actually living for that society. You're spending all your time concealing what you have on behalf of that society, on behalf of the people there. So that is the gray man. The gray man, in all honesty, is a man living for those in the society anyway, because they're concealing their resources and what they've obtained because they don't want those around them to basically validate or know what they have. But you don't plan to give them anything. You don't plan to give them anything, so who cares if they know what you have? The gray man lives, you wake up every day trying to conceal what you have. That's a waste of time, in my honest opinion. It's kind of stupid. You're basically living to conceal what you have and what you've earned because you feel threatened that you might have to give it to somebody or they might ask you for something, which is, dude, you're an adult. You don't want to give somebody something, you don't give it to them. It's your life. Live your life. The Casper Pill 1.0 is about, dude, you live your life. If you feel like, if you think you want to wake up tomorrow and just go party it up at a club, rent an expensive car, you do that. You do that if you want to. You're not concealing yourself. You're not living for anyone. You're not living for anyone other than yourself. So who cares what other people think about? Who cares what they think about what you own? And if they get jealous, who gives a damn? You're living your life for yourself. That is the Casper Pill 1.0. It's a focus and a lifestyle set on detachment from the physical standpoint. You do not want to be attached to anything. For example, I'll give you an example. Casper Pillar 1.0. 1.0 is that it's hard to, impossible for someone who's a Casper Pillar to be in a relationship. The reason of that is that everything's about liabilities. You don't want any liabilities around you. So Casper Pillar 1.0, you won't really have long-term girlfriends or long-term relationships because you look at it as a liability. You look at it from a perspective of, what if we have an issue? What if I have an issue with this woman, or she creates an issue and she blows it out of proportion? Now my freedom is at risk. My career, my freedom is at risk. So you can't do it. You can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So a Casper Pillar 1.0 will, in knowing this, you can't move with your girl. You can't move with them. You can't even claim a woman is yours because that adds on to liability. You know what I'm saying? It adds on to liability, and opportunities to escalate and create liability. So a Casper Pillar tends to, when it comes to women, will just, he'll have his he'll have his fun and move on. You know what I'm saying? Have his fun and move on. Because the Casper Pillar cannot afford anything that threatens his ability to full-time ghost. Now I know what you're thinking. What is a full-time ghost? Well, a full-time ghost is basically someone who decides to ghost society completely. You know what I'm saying? Does everything on their accord. You see, there's this whole narrative that ghosting is just about dating and relationships. That's a part-time ghost. You know what I mean? Part-time ghosting is ghosting related to relationships, be it women, friendships, and all that. That's part-time ghosting. Because if you're just ghosting dating and relationships, that means you're not ghosting the consumerism. The consumerism point at you. You know what I'm saying? The thought process pushed on you, of this society. You know what I'm saying? The push to decay your mental stability through body dysmorphia and transitioning. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff that's being pushed on you, you'll be open. You'll still be open for that. If you're not full-time ghosting. The full-time ghost, none of these things have any effect at all. Not at all. You know what I'm saying? Because you're so detached from society at all times that it has nothing to do with you. The only thing you care about is your mobility and your freedom. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. And then a lack of liabilities. And that means family. That means anybody that can be a liability, anybody that could threaten your mobility and your freedom is a liability. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the full-time ghosting happens. And with the way this society is, to where you just being a heterosexual male is a problem. It's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem. Oh, you're, what they call that, a cisgender male, all this BS. And I mean, think about it. Think about the disrespect that you have a child. Let's say you had a child and the doctor will say, well, I want to tell you the gender of the baby. The level of disrespect that is to you as a man. You as a man, you bring sex into this world. Either a male sex, a female sex, or in the super rare cases, a hermaphrodite. So why would a doctor disrespect you by saying, let me reveal the gender of the baby? Some mental blah, blah, blah construct BS, It's the ultimate disrespect that a doctor would want to tell you the gender. Well, they don't respect that you as a man bring sex into this world. You don't bring genders. You bring sex. So, you know what I mean? As a full-time ghost, you are all about your mobility, your freedom, your self-preservation. Everything's about yourself. There is no sacrificing for others if it threatens yourself and your freedom. You know what I'm saying? That's why the full-time ghosting happens. And what happens as you full-time ghost is that it will be harder and harder for people in society to take a grasp or hold on to you, or, because none of what they're selling means anything to you. You know what I'm saying? When you're full-time ghosting, if you're driving a car, let's say your car is 10 years old, and somebody comes up to you, well, why won't you get a new car, blah, 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 blah. You're like, yo, the car works. It works for me. You don't even care. You just keep driving. You will get a new car when you want to. You know what I'm saying? Depending on your mind state, it might be about when you want to or need to. You know what I mean? You do not care about the opinion of others that are actually attached to the system anyway. You don't care. And you're numb to it. Your goal is to just continue to move forward in progress. You know what I'm saying? That's all you're about. That's your mindset. That's all you're focused on is self-preservation, zero attachments, and zero emotions. And, when making decisions, when you make decisions as a Casper pillar, Casper pill 1.0, a lot of all your decisions are done from a perspective of, zero emotion, zero attachment, you know what I'm saying, and zero commitment to something that threatens your mobility and your freedom. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works. That's how that's how the Casper pill works and what it's about. Casper pill 1.0. Every decision you make is about from a perspective of zero attachments, you know what I'm saying, zero emotion, you know what I'm saying, and your goal is to avoid as much liability and threats to your mobility and your freedom. That is your goal in life and how you move forward, so that's what's going on. That's what it means to be a Casper pill 1.0. It's about physical detachment. Once you physically detach from this, from the domestic location you're in, you can move freely. You can move freely all around because you have no attachments. You have no liabilities. Anything you own or have is based on business. It's based on profiting and making some money off of it. You don't have liabilities based on you have them just to have them. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. That's the Casper pill 1.0. Now let's move forward to the Casper pill 2.0. The Casper pill 2.0. The Casper pill 2.0, and I made a video on it, so I won't go too long on it, but the Casper pill 2.0 is about ghosting your mental. It's about freeing yourself of the mental and psychological liabilities and lies. You know what I'm saying? Freeing yourself from a mental perspective and ghosting the attachment to, references of your life that are not based on your choices. The Casper pill 2.0 is solely focused on choice. Choice defines the Casper pill 2.0. You know what I'm saying? It's about asking yourself in life, what did you choose? What did you choose, and what was given or you had no choice? For example, you were raised an Italian. You were raised an Italian. You were raised a Jamaican person. You were raised Haitian or Indian, whatever. You were raised this way. You had no choice in how you were raised. You get what I'm saying? You had no choice. You had no choice about that. So when coming to ask yourself if you identify with this nationality or this culture, you have to ask yourself, do you choose to? And is this choice made from a perspective of your freedom to choose and your choice to do so, rather than, well, I was raised Indian, I was raised Italian, Jamaican, Haitian, so I'm just gonna go along with it and be it. And the reason I bring choice up is that, think about it. We were all born on this earth. We're all of the earth. We were born on the earth. Yes, there are different geological locations and such, and that's used to identify where you were born. Of course, it's used to identify where you were born. For example, if you were born in Jamaica, that doesn't change that you were born in the earth. You were born on earth. If you were born in India, that doesn't change that you were born on earth. Basically, wherever you were born, it is nothing more than a location on the earth. You are of the earth above all. Above all, you are of the earth. So when it comes to your nationality and your culture, you have to choose to identify as that. You have to make a choice. You know what I'm saying? If you're let's say you become 18, or you're 18 now, and you're like, you know what? Man, yes, I was raised Jamaican, or I was raised Italian, but yeah, I don't think I'm into that anymore. So I'm gonna adapt another culture, or I'll just, choose another culture. Of course, your origin won't change. Yes, you were born in Jamaica, you were born in Haiti, you were born in America, Italy. Yes, your origin, the starting point does not change, but that's just where you were born. Now, where you are and you remain, that changes. And it is extremely important in the Casper Pill 2.0 for you to basically ghost your mental identity and what you've been given, to truly be free. Because with the Casper Pill 1.0, you free yourself of physical attachments. So the Casper Pill 1.0 is a physicality. Casper Pill 2.0 is freeing yourself mentally. You know what I'm saying? So to free yourself mentally, you have to be able to identify the choices you made in life, where you had no choice, and how you were raised. Once you can separate that, then you can free yourself and be who you truly are and your own identity. I'll give you an example. Let's say you got a chocolate chip cookie. Let's say you say, you know what, my favorite cookie is a chocolate chip cookie. That's what you're saying. You're saying that's your favorite cookie, right? You're saying that your favorite cookie is a chocolate chip. But here's where it could be a lie. Here's where it could be proven to be a lie. Was that chocolate chip cookie you claim to be your favorite, was that of your choosing? Was that your choice? When you first were introduced to the chocolate chip cookie, were you the one who chose it? Did you make that choice, or was that what your family members always gave you? That was your first cookie they gave you, and you associate that with that being your favorite cookie, instead of understanding that that is not your favorite cookie, because you did not choose it, and you have yet to compare it to a cookie you chose. So you have to make a choice. You can't count the things you had no choice in until you can compare when you made your choice. Let's say you made your choice. You've tried the oatmeal cookie. You've tried the sugar cookie. You've tried the chocolate cookie. And after trying all of these and introducing yourself to all of these cookies, you're like, you know what? The chocolate chip is still my preferred preference. I prefer that. I prefer that over all the ones I chose myself after comparing them. From what I've chosen, I still prefer the chocolate chip. And I know this sounds very minor, but this decision is extremely crucial. Your choices. Now, another thing you have to realize with the Casper Pill 2.0 to free yourself mentally is you have to understand how influences in life affect you. You have to understand in life how influences affect you. You have to understand whether that's something that is an influence or, again, your choice. For example, let's say you grew up in a household. You grew up in a household filled with music. You grew up in a household where they played let's just say they played nothing but rap. So you grew up in a household where they played nothing but rap music. So you grew up, you started listening to rap and started liking it and, claiming it's your favorite form of music. You started claiming it's your favorite form of music. But here's the thing about that. That most likely is a lie. Because how can it be your favorite when it was something you were influenced by in your home and you had no choice but to listen to it? So you're identifying the influence. You'll hear a lot of musicians say, well, I had art all over my home, music, radio. I had all this creative stuff around my home. So I became an artist and a creative. That's a very big talking point I'll touch up on. So you became an artist and a musician and so on. But you just followed. These are skills you just obtained because you had no choice but to acquire them. They were not forced on you, but it happened to be how you grew up in your household. Music and stuff was all around. So it's a set of skills you have. It's a set of skills you have from growing up in a household with that. That doesn't mean it's something you want to do because it wasn't something you chose. You didn't have a choice when it came to that. And the reason I bring this up is that this is a reason why many musicians end up deleting themselves, end up offing themselves because they'll achieve the highest peak, become the most successful musician they can become, and then they feel empty. They feel empty. They feel that, they find themselves not knowing what to do with their lives because you want to know why they've spent most of their life seeking out the influence they were raised under rather than making a choice of what they want to do, try other things out and figuring out what they want to do, not living for what they were influenced by. This even applies to athletes, spent your whole life playing basketball, football, since you were a child, spent your whole life playing all these sports, and at some point one day arrives and you just find yourself empty, void. You find yourself not knowing whether you want to live or not. You start feeling that your life, you have no purpose. You have no reason to live anymore. All you had was this sport and so on, because you don't understand that was not something you chose. That was something you just had to do or you were influenced by and you didn't have a choice for it yet. That's why when some people see an athlete, they're like, oh man, this athlete, he became a fisherman. This football player says, he prefers fishing. He prefers fishing instead of playing basketball, football. And people are shocked. People are shocked. Like, how could he prefer fishing than playing football, soccer, or whatever sport he was at, because that's something he chose. That's something this person chose to do. Football, basketball, that's something they grew up, they had no choice. It was the majority of their life and what they were told and shown to do. It's just an aspect of how they were raised and how they were growing up. So they followed suit and did it. But now they found themselves, when they made their choice in life to be, they favor fishing. They found fishing something they favor above the sports. And that person is learning to live for themselves by making choices, introducing themselves to things. You see, you have to understand that anything you did not introduce yourself to is something you did not choose to do. You know, you have to understand that things only count when you are the source of introduction, as in you introduced yourself to it. It wasn't the influence of your family or none of that, anybody around you. It was a choice, and you introduced yourself to it. You know, that's one of the freeing ways, because a lot of people will be raised a certain way for over, let's say, 20 years. You're raised a certain way, then out of nowhere, you just start feeling empty. You find yourself feeling completely empty, you know, void, without a reason to live. You start thinking, you know what, I have no reason to live. I don't want to live anymore. You know, I feel so empty. You know, I feel like I have no reason to live at all. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you got no reason to live at all because you've never introduced or made a choice for yourself. You're living the life of everyone else. You know, you're living the life of everyone else. You're living the influence and the identity of everyone else. You know, maybe your father, you know, your father was a football player, so you became a football player. You know what I'm saying? That's how your father spent time with you, and you honored that. You became a football player. You put all your energy into that, and now you played football. You lived based on the goals and ideals your father wanted you to live. So you did it. You did it all. Now football just seems empty. It seems without meaning because you are not living a life based on what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Not based on what you want to do and what you've introduced yourself to. You know, a great exercise to practice from a Casper Pill 2.0 is that introduce yourself to new things. You know, introduce yourself to new things. You know, new food. You know, new events. You know, introduce yourself to things and see if you enjoy it. And do not ask other people. Don't ask your family members or friends, because now you're asking the influence to lead your life. You're looking for the influence of others to lead your life because you're so used to living based on the influence of others and making your entire identity based on the influence of others that you are not comfortable with making your own decisions and living for yourself. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the major reasons a lot of men are offing themselves and deleting themselves. You know what I'm saying? Deleting themselves because these men have lived their whole life based on the direction and the leadership of others' influences, that when they find themselves without that influence, these men become completely lost. And they just wait. And they look for someone more influential to lead them in life. More influential to lead them in life. And at times, these men become so desperate for an influence to lead them that they destroy themselves. You look at Chester. You look at a musician, R.I.P. to Chester from Linkin Park. You look at Chris Cornell from Soundgarden. You look at all these musicians that have offed themselves. Great musicians, super talented musicians, had family, and they offed themselves because that void, that emptiness of knowing that they got to live the rest of their life without meaning. Without meaning, it destroys them. You know what I'm saying? It destroys them because they became successful from what influenced them. They became the top musicians or whatever from following the influence on their life. And once they reach the peak, they now have no reason to live. They have no reason to live because the influence on their life can no longer guide them, can no longer lead and guide them. So what do they have to live for? Think about it. He got his family, he got everything from being a musician, got his family, got introduced to his wife from being a musician. Everything around his life is based on the influence that led him. So what happens when that influence can no longer guide this person? They delete themselves, because they don't understand. This is why the Casper pill 2.0, it's a video I have a lot of people on this channel continuously go back to, because so many people have been mentally, psychologically, attacked, their conscious, their identity so much that, they falter, and and they look at the Casper Pill 2.0 video I made, and they're like, man, I needed this. I need to figure out how to live my life from a perspective of myself rather than the influence on my life. That's why the Casper Pill 2.0, it's, the Casper Pill 1.0, physical ghosting, physicality, it's a lot easier to physically ghost. But, if you don't know how to update to the Casper Pill 2.0 and mentally ghost and psychologically, ghost out and decide to detach from the influence on your life, you will become and reach a point where you will self-destruct and you will destroy yourself. We've seen it all. We've seen rich, wealthy, very healthy people destroy themselves. They weren't on drugs or nothing like that. They destroyed themselves because life no longer had meaning. They started understanding that, when I tried, I'll give you an example, a musician, the hardest I've done was chasing becoming a musician, becoming successful, the chase. And now I've finally arrived, at the most successful I've ever been in my life, let's say as a musician. Like, what's left? What's left to live for? What's left to live for? So the next 30, 40 years, no matter how long I'm living, what's next to live for? So the musician or whatever, they'll off themselves. They'll delete themselves because they realize that they have another 40, 30, 60 years, whatever it is, of not knowing what to do with their life. They've peaked. They've reached the peak of that influence on their life. So what's next? What else is there? What else is there to live for? When your whole life you were trying to be a rock star, a rap star, and you finally became one. What's left? What's left, man? So a lot of these people, they delete and destroy themselves, they destroy themselves because they were so zoned in. They don't know that their whole life they haven't lived based on what they've introduced themselves to in life, and based on their choices, their culture, everything. They haven't lived based on their choices, and that's a major aspect of the Casper Pill 2.0 is ghosting your own mind, ghosting all aspects of your mentality and asking yourself what choices, what did you introduce yourself to? For example, do you like soccer because you introduced yourself to soccer? You chose to play soccer without the influence of anybody else? Do you like Italian food and Italian cuisine because you introduced yourself and you chose to be Italian, or is it because you grew up and you were raised that way? I was raised Italian, so I'm just gonna keep being Italian because that's how I was raised. So I was raised Jamaican, so I'm gonna keep being Jamaican. I was raised Haitian, I'm gonna just keep being Jamaican. I was raised Indian, I'm gonna keep being Indian. It's how I was raised. You see, saying that, I'm surrendering. I'm surrendering my life's will to the identity that was given to me. You know what I'm saying? The culture I had no choice to participate in. And the other thing you got to do with, a major aspect of the Casper Pill 2.0 of detaching from your mental, what influenced your mind and everything, is you got to understand that your preference is a limiter. Your preferences are a limitation. This will free you. There's a lot of men out there that are saying, my preference is a white woman. My preference is a black woman. My preference is Asian, Indian, Arab, Middle Eastern, Native American, whatever, your preference. But in the truth, that's a limiter. You're limiting yourself. Some guys, their preferences are based on their ethnicity, their race. You know what I'm saying? So, you're white. You're white, so the woman you have to be with has to be white as well. That's a limiter. A lot of people have been trained that, well, if someone tells me I can only eat these cookies, they're putting a limit on me. They're telling me, yo, you can only eat these chocolate chip cookies from the cookie jar. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, you limiting me, man. Why can't I eat every other cookie? You see, you've been trained to be irritated, annoyed by when other people make a choice and a limit. But for yourself, you accept it. You will openly tell yourself, well, I only sleep with white women. You know what I'm saying? I only sleep with Indian women. I only sleep with Arabic women. You're placing a limiter on yourself. You're limiting your choices. And also, not only are you limiting your choices, you're actually making it far easier to deny yourself a life. Far easier to deny yourself a life, because in letting it be known that this is your preference, this is where you stop. This is your limiter. You're basically allowing the society to manipulate you from that standpoint. I know a lot of white guys. I got some white homies that will say, man, and I've seen a lot of white guys that will say, yo, man, those white women are all white women. You know what I'm saying? And I'll see it by some black guys. Those are our sisters. That's all black women. You know what I'm saying? You'll see all these guys make these claims when they're in a country where you can't even have any authority on any women you're with anyway. So how can anything be yours? And then the other thing is, dude, most of these women you're claiming, you don't even know them. You're just claiming that their preference, since you claim that preference, it's yours. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of men have been trained that, yeah, this is positive. But I've seen a lot of men destroy themselves over this. You'll see videos on YouTube where you'll see some white women literally virtue signaling to some white men. I want to be a stay-at-home mom with a white man. I want to start a family. I want to be traditional this and that. And you'll see the white guy just, get hypnotized, and next thing you know, he's in a family court. Same thing happens to a black guy. We need strong black men to defend us and be with us. Behind every strong black man is a strong black woman. You know what I'm saying? And then he's in a family court. You see, you're placing a limiter as something of positivity, when in actuality it limits your experience and what you can choose. For example, a lot of guys in the black pill community, a lot of guys that are full-time ghosting, that are being aware that they're Casper pillars. The Casper pill, if you're truly Casper pilled and you're truly black pilled, if you have a preference and in this country you're at, you can't actually have a successful relationship or anything without the government being over your head, the family court and so on. So what happens when you set a preference? Let's say the only country you can go to, let's say it's one of the homies I was talking to. Let's just say it's Denmark. Let's say it's Denmark is the only country you can go to, but you're only into, dark-skinned women or brown-skinned women, so you've set a limit. Now, Denmark is no longer on the table. It's no longer on the table for you, even though this is the best place for you on a career-wise and all other options. You limit, once you set a preference of the woman sexually you prefer, and it's perfectly okay to prefer something. For example, I prefer a Hass avocado, over like the Florida avocado. Now, will I eat a Florida avocado? Yeah, I'll eat that one. You know what I'm saying? I'll eat it, but I'll prefer the Hass avocado. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't stop me from eating a Florida avocado. This is how you gotta be, man. You can have your preferences, but your preference can't be the end-all be-all. That's basically completely setting yourself up to be immobile and, literally not free. At the end of the day, you have to understand, with all this racial scam bullshit going on, we're all different breeds of human. I'm a different breed of human. You're a different breed of human. We're different breeds. You know what I'm saying? A Doberman is different than a Husky, but guess what? They're still fucking dogs. They're still dogs. They still can breed. So you gotta look at it from a perspective of, yeah, I'm a white guy. My preference will be a white woman, but, from what I've seen in Thailand, the Philippines, or, parts of Africa, yeah, I think those are the best places for me right now. So I got to go there. You know what I'm saying? So, there's women there. I'm going to enjoy those women. You know what I'm saying? And maybe eventually just sleeping with all these, brown or whatever women, I'll eventually break my preference. But here's the other thing you got to understand about your sexual preference is that it's hardwired into you. Depending on your ethnicity, your race, it's hardwired into you. You know what I'm saying? You're a black man, of course you're going to prefer a black woman, from a genetical preference perspective. You're a white man, you're going to prefer white women because, you can identify with them a lot more, and you could visualize how your children will look a lot easier from a woman from your race and your ethnicity or your breed. Yeah, I got to stop saying race. Your breed than another breed of human. You know what I'm saying? So you claim it's a preference of choice, but in truth, it's a preference of influence of your genetics that you're not mentally capable of freeing yourself from. Because at the end of the day, you gotta understand, man. Every pussy you go into is dark. It's a dark hole. You know what I'm saying? It's a dark hole. Don't matter if it's black, don't matter if it's white. At the end of the day, you don't see where you're entering. You don't see where you're entering. So it ends up being a dark void of color anyway. You know what I'm saying? You're going into darkness. You know what I mean? But, that is a limiter. That limits your mind. And that holds your mind, pardon the pun, hostage. You know what I mean? You're holding your own self hostage. You're limiting yourself, you know? But, that's part of the Casper Pill 2.0. It's breaking yourself out of that mental influence of your life to find what you have chosen in life, what you have introduced yourself. A major question you have to ask yourself, part of the Casper Pill 2.0 is ask yourself, did you introduce? Ask yourself, what did you introduce yourself to? You know what I'm saying? Ask yourself that. And even for weight loss, it's going to help you too. For example, let's say you're overweight and you eat a lot of sweets. If you ask yourself, man, did I introduce myself to all these sweets? You know what I'm saying? Did I introduce myself to all these sweets that I favor, or was it something introduced on me when I grew up? You know what I mean? Do I have a sweet tooth because I chose to have a sweet tooth? Or do I have a sweet tooth because, hey, man, growing up, they let me have access to a lot of sugary goods, So, if you want to go in more detail, I made a video, the Casper Pill 2.0. But, that's the Casper Pill 2.0. Now, the Casper Pill 3.0. The Casper Pill 3.0 is truly, something that can free you, will free your absolute existence, because the Casper Pill 3.0 asks a very simple question you have to ask yourself. You have to ask yourself, can you compare what you've experienced to the world? To the world. And can you compare what you've experienced to the world? And you have to ask yourself that everything, you got to tell yourself that anything you say, if it does not, if it doesn't reference experiencing the world, it's a lie. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a lie. The Casper Pill 3.0 asks you to compare your whole identity and everything about you to the world, to the world. You compare everything you're doing to the world, and if you can experience the world, And once you realize that you can't experience the world, then you realize that many things you're saying to almost everything you're saying is a lie. And you know what I'm saying? Then you can live towards the truth. You can fully accept the truth, because I'll give you an example. You'll say, you know what, man, my favorite cookie is, the Oreo cookie. The Oreo cookie. You're like, my favorite cookie is the Oreo cookie. Out of all the cookies I've tried and chosen, that's my favorite cookie. But that's a lie. How is that the truth if you can't try every cookie in the world? You know what I'm saying? Every cookie in the world. So, how is that a truth? How is that the truth? You know what I mean? And what this does by comparing what you've experienced to the world is it frees you. It sets you free. It makes you less, attached to limiting yourself. It frees you of limits. You know what I'm saying? It frees you of preferences and mental blocks and mental limitations. Because now you're comparing everything almost to the world. You know what I'm saying? So if you're like, you know what, man, I like this, let's say you're like, you know what, I like the snow. That's my favorite time of the season. That's my favorite time of the season is the snow. but you haven't experienced, you know, the locations without snow all over the world. So how do you know this is your favorite time? You know, but once you start saying, you know what, this is just, of what I can experience right now. This is just, I guess this is due to the limitations of what I can experience. This is what I enjoy right now. This is I find a lot of enjoyment in this, The Casper Pill 3.0 frees you, man. It is absolute freedom because now you're looking at everything from a global scale. Everything you look at is from the world view. You know what I'm saying? The world view, and this frees you. You know what I mean? You no longer can get culture shock. You're not going to get any culture shock or none of that, because you understand that, the world has so much to offer. The world has so many experiences that you could introduce yourself to, or you could be introduced to by people that are so foreign to you that it's not of their influence on you that made you do it. So the Casper Pill 3.0 is really a matter of comparing your life to experiences of the world. And this frees you a lot more. This allows you to be far more open to other cultures and other experiences in other cultures, because you're like, you know what? I can't say that I won't enjoy this. I don't, depending on the culture, the music, of course you won't enjoy things that are, that make no sense, that are actually, what I'm saying, and, what's that word, non-human, what I'm saying, is just demoral. There's certain things you don't need to ever try, because you can mentally stimulate that this is immoral, this is wrong, what I'm saying? So certain things you'll never choose to experience because they're wrong. It's a wrong thing to do. You wouldn't do this domestically. Foreign is just wrong. It's not the right thing to do, so you won't do it. You know what I'm saying? It's immoral, and it's predatory. It's certain things you'll just never do. But the Casper Pill 3.0 is all about weighing yourself to the world, the experiences of the world, because then certain words are removed from your vocabulary. You stop saying this is the best thing in the world, because you've never experienced everything in the world. You stop saying this is my favorite thing ever. You know what I'm saying? Because you haven't experienced everything ever. You know what I'm saying? So it frees your mind, and it makes you more aware of the world. You know what I'm saying? And it makes you more loyal to venturing around the world and experiencing the world, because you understand that, yeah, man, I can't claim anything because I haven't experienced the world. You know what I'm saying? Nothing I know, even saying that, man, my favorite place to drive is this road around the town. Yeah, but you haven't driven on every road in the world. So how do you know that's truly your favorite? You could say, by limitations, this is all I have, and this is all I can do, and I prefer this. You could say I just prefer this. You're going to say, I prefer that for the time being. This is all I can do. But by questioning and asking yourself, what did you influence? What did you experience from a global scale? Because a lot of people need to understand, man, nationalities and cultures and all that. Yes, these are all good, but these are all great. But in truth, they will never make up or alter the fact that you're an earthling. You were born of this earth. And, there's an aspect of you as a man. Man's natural state is nomadic. You know, there's an aspect of you that wants to venture around the world. There's an aspect of you that wants to see the world, wants to compare everything from a global perspective. You want to. You know what I'm saying? Instinctively, you want to move. But the way they do programming, you know what I'm saying, propaganda, they make you so-called racist. They program you to be fearful of other races, hateful of other locations. You know, they program you to be fearful because they know if you were to become truly open mentally, where you're like, you know what, I got to experience the world. You know, if you got to experience the world, guess what happens? You know, you won't remain and be limited by domestics. You won't remain and be limited by domestics. You'll seek to experience the world. You know, and once a man's eyes open to the world, there's really nothing they can do. You know what I'm saying? You're no longer, you know, nothing they say about other races and other groups of people, it doesn't mean nothing to you. Because you're like, man, I want to go there. I want to see how they live. I want to experience that so I can, you know, so I can gauge whether this experience is my favorite experience, you know, because you know that you can't live. The thing is this, you can't live to experience the whole world. That is the absolute truth. You can't, because some of the things that you could have experienced, they're gone due to the fact that the people are no longer here or their culture is no longer practiced. Then in the future, you might not be here forever. You won't be here. The culture and the world changes as centuries pass, you know. So you'll never be able to experience the whole world. You know what I'm saying? Experience it and how it is, you know. This will free you to just mentally say, you know what, man, yo, the experience of the world is infinite. I need to be an infinite minded person. I need to pursue this. I need to be free at all times. You know, I need to understand that there's more to experience and learn from other countries and cultures rather than there's more to fear, you know, that I'm free. You know what I'm saying? That is the Casper Pill 3.0. Casper Pill 3.0 is opening your eyes to the world. Opening your eyes to the world on an absolute level and asking yourself, well, you know, asking yourself, who are you? You know, we see a lot of celebrities, you know, I know I'm going back, but we see a lot of celebrities that, man, billionaires, millionaires, and they destroy themselves. They destroy themselves because they have limited themselves to the perspective of one nation, one culture. You know, they've limited themselves. Same people that will say, you know, I want to be happy, or I want to be able to exist. Yet they continue a path of insanity by just staying in one place. For example, if you're a billionaire in America, you're like, you know what, man, I need something else to do. But you know America. You know this country. You know what I'm saying? You know America. So what can you experience here, you know, that is new? You know, what can you experience here that is completely new that you've never experienced before? So you have to leave the country. You have to go somewhere else, you know, to experience new things, you know, new ways of living. You know, so that's something you got to think about, you know, to experience new things in life and you know, to experience new things. So that's something you got to wake up and think about, and you got to understand that everything you've seen, and just because, for example, you know about fishing and how it's done in America, so you trying fishing might not be new enough. It might not be an experience that's new enough to actually add some fulfillment to your life. So you got to step outside of this country. You know what I'm saying? To experience the world. And you got to understand that. And the thing about this is it gives you a reason to live. It gives you much more reason to live because you're constantly pursuing an experience. And to experience things, you got to be alive to experience. You know, you're constantly asking yourself, well, you know, I got to try it. I got to try something new. Got to try something new. I got to try something new. I got to see what's going on. I got to see if I will enjoy this. Let me try it. Let me see this culture. Let me go to this country. Let me see what's going on. You know, you're going to constantly do that, and it gives you a reason to live. So the Casper Pill 3.0, you know, I don't have much to say about it, you know, because once you understand Casper Pill 1.0, which is zero liability, you know, zero liability, zero attachments, you know, at all. And the thing about the Casper Pill 1.0 is that it points you towards the Casper Pill 3.0, because if you have zero attachments, you're always getting ready to move. You're always getting ready to move. You know what I'm saying? You're always getting ready to move, and you're always looking for another option and another opportunity. You know, because, you know, life demands that you do that and keep moving and keep progressing because things change. For example, a Casper pillar, you know, won't stay in the same state. You know, won't stay in the same state and will move when it's time to do so. You know, so the Casper Pill 1.0, you're always on the move. You know, you're always looking to move. A Casper pillar, a full-time ghost. When you're a full-time ghost, it's always about the ability to ghost. You see, the part-time ghosting is, oh, you know, I'm gonna meet this girl for a date. I won't show up. Just doesn't show up. No, that's part-time ghosting. You know what I'm saying? Full-time ghosting is about, do I have the opportunity to ghost? You're focused on the ability to ghost at all times. You know what I'm saying? At all times. You're not attached to anything. People's validations don't mean nothing. You're all about your ability to ghost, your ability to continuously move and progress. You know, that's what you're about. That's what you're all about, is constantly ghosting. You know, you realize being a full-time ghost is an endless journey. I'll give you an example. Let's say you move to Puerto Rico. Let's just say you move to Puerto Rico. You're enjoying yourself there. You know, things are running smooth. It's much different than America. You're enjoying yourself there. And then it's starting to change. It's starting to change, and guess what you do? You move again. You know what I'm saying? The full-time ghost is nomadicism. It's being nomadic at all times. At all times, man. You gotta understand, it's in us, man. It's our true manhood. It's in us that when things change, we're ready to move. You know, for example, if you got a herd of deer that you used to hunt and they move, guess what? You're moving. You're not going to stay there for nostalgia's sake or culture's sake and all that. No, you're moving. You know what I'm saying? The whole majority of societies, you know, that want to manipulate men, maintain a grasp on men, they deprogram nomadicism in you. They deprogram nomadic goals within you. They make you ashamed to be nomadic. I remember over 3 years ago they were shaming us, you know, the lesser pillars. You know what I'm saying? The lesser pillar community was shaming us when we said, you know, you're gonna have to go overseas, man. If you want to start a family, you're gonna have to go overseas. You can't do it here. And what they do is they shame you. They say, oh, you guys are just losers. You're a loser. You don't want to go, you can't make it here, you're a loser. You know what they call that, loser back home. They'll say, oh, he's a loser back home. You know what I'm saying? But we're all losers. And being a man where we're at, you know what I'm saying, where you got no fault divorce and a family court that believes women give birth through immaculate conception, you know what I'm saying, and a man is just supposed to be responsible to provide money, you know what I'm saying, we're all losers back home. There ain't no such thing as a winner up here. We've seen millionaires in America lose all their money. You know what I'm saying? Lose over 80%. We've seen Robin Williams. Look up Robin Williams. You know what I'm saying? Look up how much he had to pay in alimony every year. Look up Robin Williams. You know what I'm saying? Look up I think, what was his name? Anthony Bourdain. Look up Anthony Bourdain. You know what I'm saying? Was a millionaire or whatever and off himself for his girl. Look up the history. Look up your, what's the name of that director of Avatar? Look up the director of Avatar. Over 7 divorces. Look them up, man. You know what I'm saying? Look up the divorce rate. Every man here, as soon as you're born a man, you're a loser. You know what I'm saying? Because in the eyes of the family court, the government, you're a problem. You know what I'm saying? You're a problem because you can provide stability and protection. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. That's a problem because it deprioritizes the government as the provider of protection and provision and stability. You know? So this narrative, they will push that, oh, you're a loser back home, blah, 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 and all that bullshit. Dude, once you accept as a man that, you know, in a country that does not value stability brought on by men, that you're a loser. You're a loser, bro. You're a loser in the eyes of the system. Once you accept that you're a loser, you can move on. You're like, all right, well, they said I'm a loser, cool. Nah, whatever. While I'm here, I'm a loser, whatever. You know what I mean? There ain't no way to win anyway, so, you know, unless you're gambling. I mean, think about it. I say this a lot of times, the man in the West, you know, think about this, that men during World War II had a better chance to see their family than you right now. You know what I'm saying? Than you right now. Think about that. Men during the World War II that were fighting, you know what I'm saying, struggling to survive, they have a better chance of seeing their family than you right now. You know? That's how it's become. You know? The guy came home from work, bang. Divorce papers, bang. Child support, it's done. It's done. You will never see your kids again. Full custody, blah, blah, blah. 80% custody, blah, blah, blah. There is no victory. Once stability becomes about gambling, it's over. Men do not claim stability based on gambling, based on chaos. You know, stability is based on routine and, of course, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, stability. You know, my wording's messed up right now. But, you know, the Casper pill 1.0, once you've accepted once you've upgraded to all the Casper pills, you go from 1.0, which is detaching from physical attachment. You go to Casper pill 2.0, detaching from mental attachment. You know what I'm saying? To free yourself mentally. Then you finally arrive to Casper pill 3.0, which is a global outlook, comparing everything to the world, comparing everything you do to the world, and you realize that, you know, unless you've experienced the world, everything you're saying is a lie, you know. And to try to challenge that, guess what you do? I mean, think about all those rich guys that said, you know what, man, I got enough money, I'm traveling the world. I'm traveling the world to experience the world. You know, it's not just experiencing the world, but to actually know themselves. You know, Like, think about it. A man who says, which man would I respect and trust more? A man who likes Chinese food never left this state, never left this state, you know what I'm saying? Never left this state or his country, or a man that left the country, went around the world, and still prefers Chinese food. That guy who's been around the world, that's tasted so many things, eaten so many things from other cultures, and he still prefers Chinese food, then, man, he's not lying. He's not lying. Because he ate so much from around the world and he's still eating Chinese food. You know what I'm saying? So, that man's telling the truth. Because he's referenced, he has physically experienced more in the world. And that's the Casper Pill 3.0, man. Global experience. So, that's it, man. That's the video. I hope this helped you. And now you should understand the Casper Pill 3.0. I had to go through the Casper Pill 1.0 and 2.0 because the Casper Pill 3.0, it can't really stand on itself completely. You have to reference the Casper Pill 1.0, 2.0 to get to the 3.0. You know what I'm saying? Because once you understand the Casper Pill 1.0, 2.0, which is the Casper Pill 1.0 is the body. The body. The physical, you need to physically detach with your body from this physical world. Know how to detach from the system and the society from a physical standpoint. That's Casper Pill 1.0. Casper Pill 2.0 is, mentally detaching yourself from a lot of mental influence and mental limitations and realizing what is truly based of your choices in this world, and truly defining and living a life you have chosen. You have chosen your choice. And then the Black Pill 3.0 is always comparing your experience to the world. You know what I'm saying? Always. And once you do that, once you compare everything to the world and experiencing the world, then you're free. Because you know that to experience the world, to be able to tell the truth, you must experience the world. You know what I'm saying? You can't say this is your favorite hobby. How do you know it's your favorite hobby when you haven't tried all the hobbies in the world? How do you know? How do you know that? How do you know, what I'm saying? For example, when it's of your culture, for example, let's say, you're not into comic books. You're not into toys, you know what I'm saying? That ain't your hobby. But who knows? You might go somewhere, so you're aware of these hobbies in your country. So you can mentally, look at that. But you might go overseas and there's a hobby of literally listening to shells, collecting shells and listening to them. You know what I'm saying? Like blowing them or listening to them. That might be a hobby you've never known of. You know what I'm saying? That's in another whole other country. And you might experience that and say, man, oh, this is the hobby for me. I like to collect shells and listen to them. You know what I'm saying? Put them to my ear and listen to them, and then try to listen to as many. That's your hobby. Your hobby is to listen to as many shells as possible. You know what I'm saying? Always listening to a new shell. That might be a hobby. But that might be a hobby done in a completely different country where you would never be aware of that. You know what I'm saying? So the Casper Pill 3.0, it completely frees you to become a globally nomadic man. And globally, your expectations are of the globe. You know what I'm saying? You're free. You completely become free. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'll be doing more Casper Pill full-time ghosting content. But, this is what happens, man. This is the freedom of the Casper Pill 3.0, full-time ghosting, with global awareness and global comparisons. Once you can compare all your life experiences to the world, guess what? You can live now. You can fully live. You can fully enjoy life and live. You know what I'm saying? So this has been Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. And remember, full-time ghost. Always full-time ghost, man. Peace. Word.
They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying face.